Die now. That was the last thing little Emily heard before everything went black. The laughter of the older kids echoed in her ears as she lay motionless on the cold dirt of the old farmhouse road. Her tiny hands trembled, her vision blurred, and the world faded away beneath the weight of cruelty she could never understand. But this wasn't the beginning of her story, it was the turning point that would shake an entire town. Emily was just 8 years old, a sweet farm girl with muddy boots and a heart full of sunshine. She lived with her mother, Sarah, on a small, struggling farm on the edge of Maple Creek. Life wasn't easy, but for Emily, the world was still full of wonder. Every morning she'd feed the chickens, whisper secrets to the horses, and draw hearts in the dusty barn windows. Sarah worked long hours, raising her daughter alone after her husband, a soldier, was killed overseas. The farm was her life, and Emily was her reason to breathe. But kids at school didn't see Emily that way. They saw an old coat, worn-out shoes, and a quiet girl who smelled like hay. They mocked her, pushed her, and whispered cruel words. "Poor girl, farmer trash, your dad died for nothing." Every day, Emily hid her pain behind a shaky smile, not wanting to worry her mother. She would cry alone in the barn at night, clutching her father's old dog tags like they were her armor. One Friday afternoon, the bullying took a dark turn. As Emily walked home along the dirt road, 3 kids from school followed her, older boys who'd always gone too far. They taunted her, threw stones, and when she tried to run, they grabbed her by the hair and dragged her down. One of them shouted, "No one cares about you. You're nothing. Die now." Then came the blow, the one that left her still and bleeding in the mud. When the boys ran away, thinking they'd silenced her forever, the wind carried their laughter across the fields. But in the distance, a figure was already sprinting toward the sound, Sarah. A mother's instinct is sharper than any blade. She dropped the bucket she was carrying, her heart pounding as she saw her daughter lying lifeless on the ground. She fell to her knees, screaming Emily's name over and over until her hands were red with dirt and tears. Emily survived, but barely. Days later, she opened her eyes in a hospital bed, surrounded by the soft hum of machines. Sarah never left her side, her fingers always wrapped around Emily's small hand. The doctors said she was lucky to be alive. But Sarah knew better, it wasn't luck. It was strength. Her daughter had her father's spirit, the same courage that once fought for freedom. The police came, reports were filed, and the story spread like wildfire through the small town. People whispered in disbelief when they discovered who Emily's mother really was. Sarah Miller, the woman who had served as a combat medic in the army, who had saved lives on battlefields most could never imagine. She was known to every soldier who ever crossed her path as the Angel of Ironwood. The same woman who once carried her wounded comrades through gunfire now sat by her daughter's hospital bed, broken but not defeated. When the bullies' parents tried to downplay what their children had done, Sarah stood up in that courtroom and spoke, not with anger, but with power. Her voice trembled at first, but every word hit harder than a bullet. "You call it a prank," she said, "but you almost took my child's life. You taught them that cruelty is strength. I will not let that lesson live another day." Her speech went viral across the country. People everywhere shared her words, her pain, her courage. Donations poured in to help Emily's recovery and rebuild the old farm. But what truly healed Emily wasn't the money, it was the strength she saw in her mother's eyes. Months later, when Emily finally returned to school, she wasn't the same timid girl anymore. Her head was high, her scars hidden beneath her long hair. She joined the school's kindness club and began speaking to other kids who felt invisible. The same children who once ignored her now listened when she talked about forgiveness and standing up for what's right. As for Sarah, she turned her pain into purpose. She began visiting schools, teaching parents and children alike about the impact of bullying and the importance of empathy. Her story became a movement, the strong mother's voice, inspiring thousands of people to stand against cruelty and protect the innocent. Years later, Emily stood on that same dirt road, now grown, the golden fields swaying behind her. She smiled softly and whispered, "I survived." The wind carried her words into the sky, as if her father was listening somewhere above. This story isn't just about pain, it's about strength, love, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. It reminds us that sometimes, the quietest hearts carry the loudest courage. So if you believe in kindness, in standing up for others, and in never letting hate win, then don't just watch this story. Be part of it. Hit the like button, share this message, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what it truly means to be human. Because somewhere out there, another little girl like Emily needs to know, she's not alone.